welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey chapter 65. It is Thursday, not the vampire killer workout, but the shotgun dropkick workout. Yes, it is the end of the week of experimentation. Right now, I am feeling pretty decent, actually. Upper body is a little sore, but nothing too crazy. Lower body is feeling fine, which is kind of nice because today I need it. I need it. It's been a little bit. I did do this workout last week, so this week we'll see how it all pans out, and it's also going to be on a different day, so that's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully none of the machines are being used up by people, so have to see. But anyways, besides that, feeling good, looking good. Just everything's good right now. I'm feeling a little energized because I started singing right before this. But besides that, you know, everything's good. Everything's good. Looking forward to tomorrow, day off. Get to do a few things. Going to a game with my brother. Going to a Wizards game. Looking forward to that. Hopefully they win, even though they suck. But that's just typical. So today's subject matter, I decided this the day before yesterday because I was like, oh yeah, I could talk about this, and it was just because I forgot what it was that made me think about it. I think it was because I had an experience the other day at a friend's house here. Shout out Ivan. I was walking around with my socks on, and I have toe socks, and his cousin made a comment about it because obviously not everybody wears toe socks, and I get it. It is just generally that I wear barefoot shoes, and I'd recommend most people wear barefoot shoes, but we'll get to that in a second. Barefoot shoes, pretty good, pretty nice. I highly have not regretted making the switch. I have really enjoyed them ever since. They are something to get used to. They are something that if you don't get the right type of shoe, you could fuck yourself, because there is some slippage stuff that can happen, but it depends. If you get the right shoes, you're fine. I wear Vivo Barefoots. I have two pairs of Vivo Barefoots. I have the Primus Light, I believe, Primus Light 3s, and the Primus Light like weatherproof ones. So those are basically the only two shoes I really wear on a regular basis. And then I have other ones. I also have a pair of zero shoes, which are pretty good, would recommend, although they're a little tight. I need to get them again and size up a little, but they're pretty good. They're just slip-ons for like whenever, you know. And then I also wear a pair of field grounds that are pretty good, that are all white shoes. Those are my dress-up shoes, as much as I can dress up in them, but they're pretty good. I like them a lot as well. The only issue with my barefoot shoes that I have to say that I hate about them is the fact that they don't photograph well, so you don't really know what they're going to look like on you until you see them on you. They don't photograph well. All of them look terrible on all of their production product photos. All of them. I don't know what it is. There are very few ones that actually look good. I don't know what about these shoes that they just don't look that well in a photograph. But once you have them on, they're great. Like the Zero shoe that I got, they look terrible on those pictures. I really did not like the way they looked on those pictures. Then when I got it, I was like, oh, okay, this is fine. Like, it was so much better. It made me be like, okay, I could probably try some of their other stuff too, because I was worried about it looking kind of ugly. And obviously the shoes are going to look a little different. They are not specifically individually toed shoes. Not that I have anything personally against people who wear those, nor would I have, like, if somebody wants to ever sponsor me or whatever the fuck, if I get them for free, I'll get them. I'll wear them, you know. But with that being said, do I want one? No. Am I going to go out of my way to get them? No. That is where I draw the limit. I wear toe socks, which I highly recommend everybody do, regardless of whether you do barefoot shoes or not, because of three reasons. Well, we'll get to those three reasons in a second. But I draw the line with barefoot shoes with the individually toed shoes. Now, I know they're better, and I know the brand that is known for them is actually really good. So that is something. But I'm also like, you know, I want to be a normal person in society here, all right? Like, all right, I can get the toe socks is a little weird. You're not taking off your shoes very often, you know? When it comes to the toe shoes, I'm like, all right, we need to calm down here. It definitely sets you apart completely from as like a regular person. At least these barefoot shoes, they look relatively normal. People might look at it, glance at it, be like, oh, okay, and that's it. Nothing too crazy. But the toe ones, well, no. But the toe socks, I will say this though, toe socks, I was not going to originally go for the toe socks. Then I watched a video about like this guy who was like, if you're going to barefoot run or just use barefoot shoes, you just might as well go all the way, use toe socks. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I get it. You know, have the individuality of each toe separated and stuff. And I was like, all right. So I made that switch. The switch, highly worth it for multiple reasons. One, your foot doesn't feel as constrained as if it is in a regular sock. Hate that feeling. So my toes are freer and more loose to go wherever, so that's nice. One. Two, if you deal with stinky feet, I had stinky feet for a while there. This helps stinky feet because it separates each toe, so the grime and dirt and all the muck that gets in between the toes can't go there. So it just literally it's separated from each other. So because of that, you're gonna eliminate a lot of the smell issues if you have smell issues. And three, if you convert to barefoot shoes, it does help with the feeling of the ground and getting like your full foot feeling within the shoe. So that way the shoe is still like a protector for your foot and you get a full feel of the ground still. So for example, I've walked around in I have fuzzy socks that I've walked around in barefoot shoes, and you do lose a little bit of the feeling of the foot in where you can use it when walking and stuff. And it sounds weird, but it's one of those things that once you feel it, you'll understand it, you know? Here's the thing, and I understand that the switch over to barefoot isn't something that everybody should probably do, but it is something that I feel like most people should do, or at least try it out and see if you like it or not. It can fix a lot of problems and issues with posture, your hips, and all this other jazz, your foot muscles and stuff that could help out a lot, that people don't realize that it might be an issue because of their shoes, because they're walking on something that's like this thick, you know? So we'll get to that when we get inside, because I'll go a little bit more in depth in that because of my personal issues and all that other jazz. But I'll say this though, the toe socks, if you have stinky feet, do toe socks. They will make your feet not stink anymore. Trust me. I suffered from what was basically stank foot, all right, for a long time. But thankfully, after switching over to that, nothing. Don't have to deal with that at all. I have not dealt with foot fungus or foot odor in about 2 years now. So would recommend it. Just saying, if you deal with that, change it. Just do it. Make the executive decision to buy a bunch of those socks and then you're good to go. Trust me, it is worth it, especially if your feet stink. We'll get more in depth on the inside. Alright, so on this day, start off with hyper extensions. They were pretty good. Getting back into them, well, because I took the last week off, so it was pretty nice. So to go into a little bit of detail on the plus sides and the downsides of going barefoot into barefoot shoes, I'll say the downsides are a few. I'll go through those first, I think, because they are quite obvious. The first one is basically getting a whole new shoe game. You know, your shoes are just kind of become defunct, so you have to kind of buy a whole wardrobe worth of new shoes, which kind of suck. That is a downside massively towards that. Another downside, small one, this is just particularly me, but this sucks here and is kind of an issue on certain things. But here I put pads on the bottom of the calf raise machine, because if I don't put the pads, the metal just basically sticks into my foot and then it makes my feet hurt afterwards. So that is something extra. So there are things like that where it would, depending on what you're walking on, if you are walking on concrete all day or something hard or metal all day, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, because you're just going to be barefoot on those types of surfaces, and that is hell. If I don't put that padding down on the calf raise machine, my foot is destroyed. So I'd highly recommend you pay attention to what you're walking on. You know, if you're somebody that goes on hikes and is outside a lot, if you're standing on multi-surfaces, I would say I'd recommend checking it out then. But if you're on just metal or gravel all day, you might want to hold on for a minute, because gravel also is a bitch. You do get used to it, I'll say that. But before that, it is a bitch. It really does suck. If you get on there, the first few times, it really is something to get used to. Speaking about that, that's another downside, is that you have to get used to it. And that is a curve. It is definitely a learning curve. It took me a little while. I would say I didn't get really comfortable in the barefoot shoes until maybe month 2.5, maybe 3. I was okay, I'm 100% set. But it took a while to get used to it. It was definitely a learning curve, especially your feet get really tired, and you just kind of have to build yourself up. It's just mostly anything, you just kind of have to build yourself up to get to certain points. But now that's where the positive sides come in. And like today, for example, the voiceover, when I'm recording this, I actually went out to DC and walked all day long. Basically, I was walking with the homies. We were going to check out the cherry blossoms, but I was in my barefoot shoes the entire time. And like I remember doing that last year, and there were parts that kind of sucked. But at the same time, this year it was fine. It's totally all right. I could walk through it as if it was nothing. Like there were certain gravel areas that sucked, but they weren't like anything too crazy or too like daunting to do. So it was fine. And now the other plus sides to it. I mean, really, the Switch has really helped with my feet. I have strong arches now. I used to be very flat-footed. My feet are much stronger. I have a slightly better posture, even though it doesn't look like it here, but it really is better, which is crazy, honestly, to think about. But my knee pain is way less. I don't necessarily need inserts for shoes anymore or anything like that. I used to not have hip pain, but I used to have tight hips. I still kind of deal with that a little bit, but that's just more overuse than anything. But nowadays, I don't really have to deal with any hip pain or anything like that. I feel like I could walk for like ever in these shoes. It doesn't necessarily hurt at all. I've really enjoyed that. As long as you're changing up the surface you're walking in, you're basically fine. There are things like you can really feel the floor when you're doing stuff. So it's like, I haven't lost balance or tripped or done anything like that, because that is something that I feel like would happen with regular shoes a lot, and not necessarily all the time, but specifically running shoes, since running shoes are relatively poofy, at the bottom, because they have to have a cushion, obviously. I would feel like I would always be walking on like something. And even before I converted over, it was like a feeling of walking on clouds, which was good, but I wanted more actual feel of the floor. And the conversion really helped with that. And I think that it's something that not everybody could do, but it's also something that you should try out. And it is a possibility for a lot of people, and a lot more than people think, like you can convert over to it relatively easily without losing too much. It really is just a initial setup, and then once you're in, and like I said, these shoes have lasted me so long, and because I've cured other things like the foot smell and all that other jazz, I don't have to worry about it stinking either. So perfect. I'd recommend it. At least check it out and see how it would fit for you. I was totally supposed to insert an inside joke here, but I completely forgot what it was. My fault, Walter.
And we're back. Hello and welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercises not filmed. None. Exercises skipped. None. Got them all in. Thankfully. Currently going home to relax, chill out a little bit. It is weird because it's Thursday, but it feels like a Friday. So there is that. Looking forward to getting home and eating. Hungry as hell. But yeah, overall good workout. Didn't really feel it too hard today, especially since today is the day that I normally go, to the gym. Although it was a little strange, doing leg movements on this day, but still, it wasn't too bad. And then, yeah, overall it was pretty nice. Then, to go back to the subject matter that we were talking about before, to give you some more, I'll wrap the entire barefoot shoe experience like this. It has been worth the entire switch over to doing them. I do not miss regular shoes at all. Whenever I wear shoes with any type of soles, aka like my squat shoes or Crocs, they feel very weird. The squat shoes in particular, but also they have a wedge, so they're gonna feel weird regardless, like a really big wedge. But that's whatever. They serve a purpose. The Crocs are there for slipping in and needing to go somewhere quickly. You know what I mean? Like, or doing something outside that it's just like I don't have any, like a barefoot sandal. Although they do have them, I think, but they're very weird, and they're usually, like the toe one, the toe tong, and I'm not a huge fan of those. But I want to say that I'm going to probably end up buying another one or just looking into it. Hopefully there's another type. I don't necessarily like walking in Crocs anymore. The wideness is fine because it's actually all right. The elevation off the floor just throws me off now. I can't do it very well. Like, I feel off, like I feel like I'm almost like falling or walking on like stilts or something like that. Regular shoes I can't really wear anymore because of the size and the altitude that I get from them. Now that is a downside in that I can't just slip on random shoes randomly now, or else I'm going to be in pain. It is also something where these shoes that I bought in, these Vivos, plus the Zero shoes, plus the Field Grounds, although the Field Grounds I haven't worn that much, but Vivos are really, really good and have been like champions. They've gone through so much shit, beaten and battered for the last like 2 years. Still pretty good. Like they're almost, I wouldn't say they're almost like new, but they're very, very, very close to like new. Like they're beat, but they're not like destroyed or anything like that. Like a good scrub and they're back to like up to like a 7.5 on the goodness scale. So there is that. They've seen a lot of weather, wear and tear, particularly the all-proof weather ones. Those have been gone through like rainstorms and all this other shit perfectly fine. They are totally good. So it is kind of insane that these shoes, though expensive, that once you get them, it's kind of done. You don't really have to worry about them getting beat up or anything like that. And besides, relatively, there's enough selection nowadays where you can get them on the cheap. You're not necessarily having to spend an arm and a leg. The only thing I haven't spent an arm and a leg on is the boot versions of Barefoot shoes, which I do want to do. I do want to get them, but I just haven't gotten them yet. Although that's just more, I would like to get a job part first, then maybe buy those. But besides that, I would recommend doing it if you find yourself having foot issues. They have cured almost all of my foot issues. There are little downsides here and there that happen, I'm not gonna lie, like you feel all of the ground, so you kind of have to make sure you're walking on, like, you gotta look at what you're walking on. Branches suck, so like, the small branch that used to break under your shoe could break your foot now, so you gotta be careful about that. It's not really break your foot, but still, you gotta be careful about certain surfaces. Those little corners where people like walk and there's like little like yellow thing like raised up, I'll probably put a picture up right here. Those fucking suck because they are literally just protruding into your foot. Things like that you kind of have to deal with. But also, because you're wearing these shoes, your feet get stronger, and so do your ankles and all this other stuff. So for me personally, like, it sucked at the beginning, but now it sucks, but it's more of a like minor inconvenience rather than a ow inconvenience, So that is the only downside. There is a learning curve to them. But once you get it down and change a little bit of the stride and all that other jazz, it's great. I can walk in these, I can walk all day. It's literally just like walking with no shoes on. So I don't have to worry about like foot fatigue or anything like that, or like my feet hurting, or like any knee issues or anything like that. None of that. All of that has gone away by the wayside because of the change in shoe. So I would recommend it if you find yourself with those issues. I know that it can also help with hip issues as well, because you're basically realigning your spine basically correctly. So you start from the foot and then go all the way up. So there's that. I also have to believe that it has led a little bit to the entire holding on to my calf gains, because that's part of the reason why I think that my calves are so big, besides the fact that I was morbidly obese then got skinny. But that plus also wearing barefoot shoes, because I rely very much so on my calf when I walk, since I have to walk on the ball of my foot rather than the heel. That also helps, I feel like. So if you're looking for calf gains, that could be a possible potential right there. But with that being said, tell me what you think in the comments. I would love to hear your opinions about barefoot shoes and or barefoot walking. I don't really go out barefoot outside just because I could. I just like having shoes on. You know what I mean? The world is the city, the dirty place, the fields and the grass. That's fine. That's all right. I can understand being barefoot there. But there's something about like the concrete world that we live in that doesn't really match with the actual straight up barefoot on the floor type deal. Nah, I ain't about that life. But with that being said, though, tell me what you think in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I will be back on tomorrow, most likely, with another video. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. For the love of God, do any of those. I appreciate it. I will see you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.